Hello, welcome back. This is Sarah Waggle. Thank you so much for joining me. I use various tools to support people in kind of finding their joy and making it like discover. I always like to say I help people like introduce themselves to themselves because that's how I felt like I came into this work. So I use astrology, body work, Reiki energy work, coaching tools, and whatnot. And so you'll find me doing anything from astrology to tarot to moon cycle reels and things like that. And it's all in just in hopes of supporting others in working with the energies as they play out with astrological transits and things we might be feeling, processing, and moving through. So hopefully that resonates with you. And thank you so much for being a part of my channel. I really appreciate it. So this is Astrology and Energies for May 21st through the 27th. And let's dive in. I have some really cool topics I hope you guys will enjoy. So all right. So welcome to Gemini season. The sun enters Gemini. And we just had that, I feel like we're on like the new moon hangover because we just had that new moon in Taurus, and now it's Gemini season, so we'll talk about that. And then I wanted to spend some time talking about the Taurus Pisces influences and the dynamic of them, and all of that. And then because I gave a little love to those who are having their Uranus opposition, I thought I would give some love to those having their Saturn return as well. And so when we can all kind of take a look at that. Okay, so the transits that we are going through right now, some of these are ongoing, some of these are temporary. Of course, the sun in Gemini will immediately trine Pluto in Aquarius. This is kind of happening concurrently with the Mars oppose Pluto and squaring the nodes. And of course, Pluto is squaring the nodes now through the 11th of October of this year. So a lot going on with these nodes and with Pluto in Aquarius. Very transformative energy. Mars in Leo is going to pack a punch. Mars is a very masculine energy. It's war energy. You may be going on having a war in your own mind, and this being Gemini season, that would align. Because when we are transforming and when we're using these energies and when we are experiencing rapid amounts of change, our egos are throwing a temper tantrum. And there's also a lot of emotion around it. There's a lot of emotion coming from maybe yourself and those around you as you're making life changes, and whatnot. So many dynamics, so many aspects, and it's a lot to do with Pluto at 0 degrees Aquarius. Just changing the flow of the energy, the frequency of the energy. So we've got that going on. And then the 24th, we have Venus square Chiron. Venus is in Cancer, squaring Chiron in Aries. We've had a lot of things going on with Chiron this year as these personal planets, meaning Mercury, Mars, and Venus, move around Chiron. And so Chiron's the wounded healer. He's hanging out in Aries, the I am of the zodiac. And so this may cause some kind of emotion because Venus is in Cancer, which is a cardinal water, very emotional sign. So there could be kind of some ouch moments around this time of the 24th at 6:32 p.m. I'm on Central Time for reference. And then on the 28th, we have the sun square Saturn, as well as Venus making a minor aspect to Saturn. So the sun and Gemini, mutable air, squaring Saturn in Pisces, mutable water. And so could be kind of like a take your time making a decision type of moment. Again, things are changing really rapidly, but you don't want to make like too quick of a decision that it doesn't align, or it's out of desperation, or out of like what's the word I want there? It'll come to me in a second. There's abundance, and then there's and I never can remember what the other word is. I'll think of it in a minute and I'll shout it out. And so on the 28th, in the morning. Most of us will probably be sleeping. It's at 5:38 in the morning. The sun will square Saturn, and then Venus is going to aspect it as well. And so, there might be just some hesitant energy, resistant energy, maybe like some emotional reaction or response type energy, that kind of thing. Moon's going to start in Gemini and transit itself to Libra. So, in my opinion, the good news is we don't have a Scorpio moon this week. I like Scorpio moons, but they make me super emotional. So, abundance versus poverty mindset. Poverty is not the right word I'm looking for, but we'll go with it. So, I mean, as we're making choices, and things are changing super rapidly right now, you really want to just make decisions that actually serve and support and align where you're going, and not desperately making a choice based on like the holy fuck, I have to make, I have to do this, and this is the sucky part, but I have to, like, you don't want to go from that mindset. You really want to go from an abundant forward momentum mindset, because the universe has something in store for all of us, because of where we are energetically and where these planets are. The universe has got some crazy up in store for us. And of course we have Uranus will soon move to the 20th degree of Taurus. So going to have some interesting energy with that. Okay, so things to do, of course, practices to take on your spiritual hygiene, whatever this looks like for you. Journaling, meditation, saging. I also use Palo Santo to create like creative energy, connecting to earth, of course, getting outside barefoot, touching the grass, being around water is always good, like streams of water, oceans, that kind of thing. This energy is very intense and can easily take you out. It can easily knock you off kilter. It can easily knock you off mentally if you are not taking intentional time to care for your spiritual needs. Stay connected to yourself, and those are those who actually directly affect you. And so, I could say a lot of things about this when I say stay connected to yourself, because if you think about the things that are going on in the world around us, yes, they're going on. I am not like clueless about them, but do they affect my day-to-day life? What these people, leaders, overlords, whatever the hell you want to call them, do they actually directly affect my day-to-day life? No. So whatever the hell they're going to do out there, they're going to do it. My responsibility is to myself and those who are immediately affected by my actions, the work I do, that sort of thing. So when I say stay connected to yourself and what and who may directly affect you, that's what I'm referring to. I just like to be very careful what I say, not only for censorship reasons, but I also like to be very neutral, even though I'm definitely not a neutral person. You guys can imagine I'm an Aquarius Scorpio. I'm very opinionated. But I also like to keep these very neutral because I don't want to project anything upon anyone who's watching, or at least I do my best to. All right. Intentionally take time to process the rapid changes. Yeah, because here's the thing. I just talked about like the abundance versus poverty mindset, right? Scarcity, that's the word. I knew it would come to me. The abundance versus scarcity mindset, right? So taking the intentional time to journal, taking the intentional time to, lay quietly, taking intentional time to turn off your notifications on your phone or your computer or whatever it is, taking the intentional time to lay in a dark, lay down in a dark room quietly, mentally processing, having those inner dialogue conversations to really help yourself, guide yourself through all this rapid change, right? Taking the time to take a walk and be outside, touch the grass, all of these things. So it's really about intentionally using these energies. Again, these energies can easily knock us out mentally. It's a very vulnerable moment because it's rapid change. And of course, when we're transforming or when we're creating change in our lives, naturally our system wants to hold us back. It wants to resist. It wants to, are you sure you really want to do that? And I mean, there's going to be enough like Saturn presence for there to be like the natural resistance of the universe. But if yourself is not in check and connected to your higher spiritual self, you'll definitely be more vulnerable to being knocked out of the game mentally. And I have it that everybody watching these videos is ready for a freaking change. Okay, so I was looking at charts and I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. We have this like Taurus, Pisces influence dynamic. So we have of course, Taurus is a fixed earth sign. It's focused on Venusian qualities of your self-worth, your self-value, your gifts, your talents, that sort of thing. But it's all connected to like how you create it in an earthly way, right? And then we have Pisces, which is kind of the complete opposite. It's mutable water, so it's the 12th house, it's Neptunian, it's spirituality, it's multidimensional, it's karmic, all of the things, right? Endings, because it's the 12th house, it's the last sign of the zodiac. Oddly enough, Taurus is the second house of the zodiac. And so we now have Uranus and now Jupiter in Taurus. We've had Neptune in Pisces and now Saturn as of March 7th of this year in Pisces. And I thought it was also interesting that Neptune is in a square with the galactic center, which is at 27 degrees of Sagittarius. The galactic center is the center of our universe. And it's going to be in that square until April 2024. So at 27 degrees, so a not the anaretic degree, that would be 29, but 27. So it is in the final degrees of Pisces and Sag. And so it's going to create kind of a massive upset. And then you have the activity of Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. I believe Uranus is in Taurus until 2026. Jupiter until next year, 2024. Saturn's in Pisces until 2026. And Neptune and Saturn kind of move sort of almost at the same time because they do conjunct at the 0-degree Aries point. So again, like from now, 2023, we're at May of 2023 until 2026. We're in. So what happens when you individually take on transformation? You have to end something, right? You have to leave a job, leave a marriage, leave a living situation, leave a part of your life, leave a part of your being behind, right? Now I want you to like pull this out, zoom out, and think of this on the global scale. And then think of it as Taurus rules the throat chakra, right? Taurus rules throat, and Pisces rules the feet. Okay. I always think of Casey Kasem, who used to say, keep your feet firmly planted on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. Does anybody else remember this? Okay. If so, I found my people. If you don't, go look up AT40 with Casey Kasem and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But so Pisces rules the feet because it's always, even though it's very spiritual, it's always reminding us to keep grounded, right? When we move through the zodiac, by the way, it starts with the head in Aries, throat in Taurus, lungs in Gemini, and it moves down the body. So each zodiac sign represents a body part or system. Just FYI. That's why I love astrology. It's really fun. But my point in all of this is that when we transform individually, right, we have to let go of some part of us in order to move to the next level up, right, in our lives. That's what's happening on our planet between now and 2026. And if you follow human design, which I don't really anymore, mostly because I just focus on astrology. I don't have any problem with it or anything. I just find the answers in my astrology. But if you look at human design, I believe 2026 is also when we shift from the cross of planning to the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And so it's all coming at the same time in 2026. So in order to, this started with Pluto and Capricorn, just making, like, transforming system structures and governments, and now it's moving to this where we are with Pluto and Aquarius at 0 degrees Aquarius, obviously in support of this Taurus and Pisces dynamic. So I just thought it was really fascinating as I was looking at charts. We're being strongly encouraged to speak our truth. We're being strongly encouraged to do the things that bring us joy and happiness and things that make us want to work, right? You know, and therefore it's connected to our higher self, Pisces. So Taurus is the earthly work that you're doing with your gifts and talents. Pisces is your higher self, providing you with those, like, with the messages to, hey, why not try writing a book? Hey, why not try doing a podcast? Hey, why not try doing videos? Hey, why not try doing this type of content? Or why not try, getting into landscaping, or whatever it is for you, right? Maybe it's auto mechanics, maybe it's childcare, teaching. There's like an array, right, of things that you could be doing that bring you absolute joy, right? And that's what this is. This is literally the dynamic of Taurus and of the four kind of outer planets being in Pisces and Taurus. I just thought that was really fascinating and thought I would share that with you. Of course, it's all being supported by Pluto in Aquarius. Okay, so let's talk about the Saturn return. This is a karmic, sometimes once in a lifetime, sometimes twice in a lifetime transit. Could be 3 times if you are, alive in your late 80s, early 90s, of course. And so Saturn entered Pisces on March 7th, 2023, and is here through February 13th, 2026. Oh, there we are with that 2026 again. So my dates may not be exact. Oops, there's an extra equal sign there. I love it when I see my typos in my slides after I'm already recording. Okay, January 28th, 1994 through April 7th, 1996. And we have March 24th, 1964 through March 3rd, 1967. So this is a karmic 30-year cycle. You have a Saturn return roughly between the ages of 27 to 31. And then again between 57 and 61, and again 87 to 91. So if you are, in that age range, welcome to your Saturn return. If you are not in that age range, however, you may be somebody who's in their late 30s, early 40s, you can think back to what was going on in your life between these dates of January 28th, 1994 and April 7th, 1996. And if you happen to be over the age of 60 watching my videos and you were a teenager, early 20s, in March 24th of 64 through March 3rd of 67, congratulations. But what was going on for you during both the 60s cycle and the 90s cycle. So you can look through these cycles to really get a grasp on, like, what was going on in your life. Even if it's not your Saturn return, Saturn is returning to a time in your life when something was going on. And so regardless, you get to kind of ask yourself, as Saturn is in Pisces, like, what karmic cleanup, clear out do I need to do, or do I want to do, right? You don't have to clean out anything. You can keep going at the pace you're going. No judgment here. But there is an opportunity as we round the corner of our 30s and our 60s and our 90s to do a karmic cleanup with Saturn there to sort of run the show, steer the steering wheel, as it were. And so there is this opportunity. Now, if you are in the Saturn return, really be intentional, like I said before, with the spiritual practices, with journaling, with, you may be starting your first job and you may be like, this sucks. And it may suck really bad. And you may be like, I'm going to go do something else. People do that. That's a fairly common when they have their Saturn return, when their Jupiter return, and their Uranus opposition are usually when people make some sort of decision to change their life around in some capacity or another. Whether it's a job, it kind of probably depends. I don't know because I haven't worked with a lot of, but I'm guessing it depends on what house things land in, and whatnot. And so, of course, knowing your natal chart and what house Saturn is in your natal chart, super supportive, and whatnot. So, yeah. So if you're wondering, in the mid 90s, of course, I just mentioned Casey Kasem, so I aged myself quite a bit, but I hadn't even graduated high school yet. I didn't graduate till 97. But that's all good. So yeah, so this is where Saturn was in 94 to 96 and 64 to 67. My dates, like I said, may not be precise. There may be some retrogrades in there that I missed when I was calculating these dates. But generally speaking, from like, early 94 to mid 96. And then of course from spring of 64 to spring of 67. So that's a fun little something to look at with regards to the cycles of your life and all of that. So, all right. So I hope you found that to be helpful. There are a lot of minor aspects happening. There's also a lot of ongoing aspects happening. We are also getting very close. Next week, I will talk about there's a fixed star Aldebaran. I talked about Algol in the Taurus new moon, and I'll talk about Aldebaran that comes up towards the end of May. Kind of been learning and studying the fixed stars a little bit more, so I can give you a little bit more support around them. They're kind of extra. You can basically get everything you need from the planets. And if you're curious about asteroids, I don't really cover asteroids. I cover Chiron. I don't really cover many other asteroids, mostly because of lack of education. And secondly, because the few that I have studied, okay, I may be a little neurotic, but the story behind the name of because many of the asteroids are named after Greek mythological characters. And so the story of the name that they chose for the asteroid doesn't align with the supposed meaning of the asteroid. So there's a little inconsistency there for me that I have not ironed out, which is why I don't talk about the asteroids a lot. But honestly, I'm pretty okay with that because you can get what you need to get from the core planets. And where they are and what they're aspecting. The asteroids kind of just add a little bit, but again, if the definitions aren't consistent, I don't feel like it's something that I want to try and dive into. So the other thing I will say is this video is airing on Sunday, the 21st. I am hoping to have an offer put together for y'all this week, where I will provide you a written report of your upcoming astrology. And so I'm working on that. I'm working on all the kind of logistics, shall we say, on that. So I'll post that in my community section and I'll talk about it more in next week's video, as we will be building up to a Sagittarius full moon. That'll be fun. So I hope you found this helpful. Please leave me comments below. I really appreciate your feedback, your input, and just knowing that you appreciate my content. Super helpful in me continuing to do this work. I really appreciate you for watching and all of the things. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you on the next video.